Lost in the storm, she found shelter in the heart of a lonely millionaire. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is now. Subscribe to the channel and let's get started. The storm roared, clawing at the mansion's shutters like a beast. Rain lashed the windows, veiling the world in a churning mist. Victor Hale stood in the shadowed foyer, his fingers curling around an unwound pocket watch. Clara's last gift, stopped the day she died. The grandfather clock loomed against the wall, its hands stuck at 7:42, a silent marker of her death. Linden, his golden retriever, stirred at his feet, ears pricked, a low whine rising in his throat. A sharp knock sliced through the wind's howl. Victor's jaw clenched. No one came here. Never. He crossed the polished oak floor, Linden's claws clicking close, and flung the door open. A woman stood there, drenched, her frayed coat clinging to her wiry frame, her hazel eyes wide with desperation, locked onto his. "I thought this was a shelter," she stammered, voice faint against the storm. "Please, just a minute." Victor's instinct was to slam the door. This was his refuge, his exile. But Linden padded forward, tail swaying, and pressed his nose to the woman's trembling hand. She flinched, then softened, her fingers grazing his wet fur. Her raw, unguarded gaze held Victor still, stirring a flicker of Clara's warmth he hadn't felt in years. "Get inside," he muttered, stepping aside. "You're soaking my floor." She hesitated, then entered, her boots trailing mud. The door thudded shut, muffling the gale. In the dim light, she looked small, her scarf dangling like a lifeline. Linden circled her, sniffing, his warmth cutting the foyer's chill. "I'm Evelyn," she said, voice steadying. "I didn't mean to—" "Save it," Victor cut in, turning away. "You're here now. Don't touch anything." His tone bit, the intrusion sharp. He hadn't spoken to anyone in months, save Linden's quiet company. The dog pawed Victor's boot, sensing tension, his eyes flicking to Evelyn. Her gaze drifted to the clock, its mahogany gleaming faintly, dust thick on its face. She stepped closer, then stopped as if feeling its weight. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "Does it work?" Victor's chest clenched. "No." The word was a wall. He moved to the kitchen, Linden trotting behind, and gestured for her to follow. "Dry off. You leave when the storm clears." She nodded, clutching her scarf. In the kitchen, Victor tossed her a towel. She caught it, her movements quick. As she dried her face, her sleeve slipped, revealing a faint scar across her left wrist. Victor froze. Clara had one like it. From a childhood fall, her battle scar, she'd laughed. The memory struck, raw and unbidden. Evelyn caught his stare and tugged her sleeve down, her face unreadable. "Thanks for this," she said, holding the towel. "I'll be gone soon." Victor turned to the stove, lighting the burner, the flame flickering. Linden flopped by Evelyn's feet, watching her with calm eyes. The dog's ease unsettled Victor. Linden, wary of strangers, trusted her. His hands shook as he grabbed a kettle, the scar's image lingering. "You got a name?" Evelyn asked, her voice soft but probing. "Victor," he said, eyes on the kettle. It hissed, filling the quiet. He didn't want her story, didn't want to care. But Linden's warmth, her fleeting glance, stirred something. Curiosity or fear. Outside, the storm raged. Evelyn sat, towel over her shoulders, Linden's head resting on her knee. She stroked his fur, her fingers steady despite the cold. Victor watched, the scar a quiet mystery. Sending her back to the storm felt wrong, like betraying the echo of Clara's kindness. "You can stay till morning," he said, voice rough, surprising himself. "That's it." Evelyn nodded, her eyes meeting his briefly. In them, Victor saw a pain that mirrored his own, unguarded yet deep. Linden yipped softly, his tail brushing the floor, as if he felt it too. Dawn filtered through the mansion's curtains, casting a soft glow across the foyer where the grandfather clock stood, its hands locked at 7:42. Victor shuffled past, his boots scuffing the faded runner, Linden's claws tapping beside him. The golden retriever's tail flicked, his eyes darting to the kitchen where Evelyn had slept on a cot Victor offered grudgingly. Her presence prickled, her voice, her ease with Linden, the way she'd stirred a memory he'd buried. The pocket watch, Clara's last gift, still heavy in his palm. Victor pushed the kitchen door open. Evelyn sat at the table, her coat draped over the chair, scarf knotted loosely. She traced the wood's grain with a finger, her hazel eyes distant. A chipped mug steamed before her, the kettle still warm. She'd made tea. The boldness of it sparked irritation in Victor's chest. "You're up early," he said, voice sharp. Linden trotted to Evelyn, nosing her knee lightly. She scratched his ears, her touch gentle, almost reverent. Couldn't sleep, she said, not looking up. This place feels alive somehow. Victor snorted, grabbing a mug. It's a house? You're leaving soon, so don't settle in. He poured tea, the liquid sloshing. Linden whined softly, his paws shifting, sensing the edge. Evelyn's gaze lifted, calm but not sharp. I didn't plan to stay. Storm's gone. I'll go. She stood, folding the towel from last night with care. Her movements were quick, like someone used to vanishing. Victor's jaw tightened. He didn't want her here, but the thought of her fading into the cold stung, a faint echo of Clara's warmth. Wait, he said, the words slipping out. Eat first. He gestured to a loaf of bread, his hand unsteady. Linden's ears perked as if approving. Evelyn hesitated, then sat. She tore a piece of bread, tossing a crust to Linden, who snapped it up. His warmth eased the room's chill. Victor sliced an apple, the knife's rhythm calming his nerves. They ate in silence, Linden's soft chewing and the mansion's faint creaks the only sounds. Evelyn's eyes drifted to the hallway, the clock's shadow stretching long. That clock, she said, breaking the quiet. It's been stopped a long time, hasn't it? Victor's knife paused. Years, he said, voice low. He avoided her gaze, Clara's laugh flashing in his mind, her hand on the clock, teasing him about time. He glanced at the hallway where Clara's photo hung, untouched since her death. He gripped the knife tighter, pushing the memory down. Evelyn nodded, sensing the weight. She rose, brushing crumbs from her hands, and stepped into the hallway. Victor followed, Linden at his heels, his pulse quickening. She stopped before the clock, her fingers hovering over its dusty face. My father had one like this, she said softly. He'd wind it every Sunday, said it kept the house alive. Victor's chest clenched. This one's not, he snapped, harsher than intended. Linden pressed against his leg, tail still, a quiet anchor. Evelyn didn't flinch, her eyes tracing the clock's carved vines, her expression guarded. She turned, her scarf slipping slightly. You're good with Linden, Victor said, the words awkward. He doesn't trust strangers. Evelyn's lips curved faintly. Dogs know who's safe, she said, crouching to ruffle Linden's fur. He leaned into her, eyes half closed. She began to hum, a soft, lilting tune, barely audible. Victor froze. It was Clara's song, her evening ritual, filling the mansion's corners. Linden's ears twitched, his head tilting, as if he knew it too. Evelyn stopped, catching Victor's stare. Her cheeks flushed, and she stood, tugging her scarf tight. Sorry. Old habit, she mumbled, stepping back. The quiet returned, charged with something unspoken. Victor's hand paused, her voice stirring a memory of Clara's warmth. He didn't want her here, but sending her back to the cold felt like betraying that echo. Stay another hour, he said, voice rough. Then you go. Evelyn nodded, her eyes meeting his for a heartbeat. In them, Victor saw a shadow of his own grief, raw, guarded, yet alive. Linden chirped, circling her feet, as if he knew the truth she hadn't spoken. Midday light streamed through the mansion's tall windows, bathing the grandfather clock's dusty face, its hands fixed at 7:42. Victor stood by the staircase, its oak banister gleaming under his fingers, Linden's golden fur brushing his leg. The dog's eyes followed Evelyn as she crossed the hallway, her steps light, her scarf trailing. A few hours had passed since dawn, and Victor hadn't pressed her to leave. Her presence, once a thorn, now felt like a crack in his solitude, letting light seep through. Evelyn paused by a framed photo on the wall, Clara mid-laugh, her dark hair catching the sun. Her gaze lingered on Clara's smile, a pang of her own lost family stirring within. The photo, unseen for years, caught Victor off guard, its presence a silent accusation. His jaw tightened. He wanted to hide the frame, but Linden whimpered softly, pawing his boot, grounding him. Evelyn's fingers hovered near the glass, her gaze soft with something unspoken. She looks happy, Evelyn said, her voice barely audible. Victor's jaw clenched. She was. He turned to a stack of old mail on a side table, shuffling papers to dodge her eyes. Linden trotted to Evelyn, his tail swaying, and nosed her hand. She knelt, stroking his fur, her movements slow, as if the photo lingered. You don't talk about her, Evelyn said, standing. Her tone was calm, like noting the weather. No reason to, Victor snapped, an envelope crumpling in his grip. His voice cracked, betraying him. Linden whimpered, circling Victor's feet, his warmth a quiet plea. The dog's loyalty stung. Linden, who'd curled by Clara's side, now trailed Evelyn like she carried a spark of that lost light. Evelyn waited, her silence patient. She stepped to the clock, her fingers tracing its carved edges. "My father loved clocks," she said, almost to herself. "He'd take them apart, put them back together. Taught me when I was a kid. After we'd go to the library, me reading, him fixing watches. It was my safe place." Victor's head snapped up. "You repaired clocks?" The question cut, sharp with disbelief. Watchmaking was his and Clara's world, not a stranger's. Her skill sparked a fleeting thought. Kids like her, learning gears as he once did. Evelyn nodded, her scarf slipping as she turned. "Small ones, pocket watches, table clocks. Never anything this grand." She gestured to the clock, its wood gleaming, her eyes distant. "After he died, I stopped. Couldn't touch them without hearing him." Victor's hands clenched, her words struck deep. Clara's tools lay untouched in his workshop, frozen like the clock. Her skill, so like his own, was a crack in his walls. He wanted to dismiss her, but Linden's gaze, darting between them, held him fast. The dog flopped by Evelyn's feet, his ears perked, as if he felt the shift. "What happened to him?" Victor asked, the words rough, unwanted. He didn't want her pain, but her voice, steady yet cracked, drew him in. Evelyn's fingers tightened on her scarf. "Heart attack. Sudden. My mom blamed me, said I should have been there. My sister, too. They shut me out." Her voice wavered, then steadied. "Haven't seen them in years." The air grew thick. Victor saw Clara's face, her hand on his cheek, forgiving him. Evelyn's loss, her exile, echoed his own. Linden leaned against her leg, his warmth a bridge between them. "You didn't cause it," Victor said, the words spilling out. He turned back to the mail, his pulse quickened, pretending to sort. Evelyn stayed quiet, her shadow blending with the clock's. She crouched, scratching Linden's ears. "Good boy," she murmured, her voice clear. The dog's tail thumped, his eyes bright. Victor watched, his pulse uneven. Her hands, trained in his craft, carried a weight he hadn't expected. "You know clocks," he said, voice low, almost accusing. "Why'd you quit?" Evelyn stood, meeting his gaze. "Same reason you did, I bet." Her words landed sharp, unyielding. Linden yipped, his tail brushing Victor's leg, as if urging him to listen. For the first time, Victor saw her not as an intruder, but as someone who knew broken time. Her skill, her pain, reshaped her in his eyes. She wasn't just a stranger anymore. 3 days after the storm, Evelyn's tools lay scattered by the grandfather clock, its wood glowing in afternoon light. The hands, stuck at 7:42, gleamed with fresh polish, a faint promise of motion. Victor stood before it, a rag in hand, Linden's golden bulk warm against his leg. The dog's ears twitched, tracking Evelyn as she knelt, wiping the clock's base with steady strokes. Her scarf lay draped over a chair, her presence no longer a question. "Pass the polish," Evelyn said, her voice cutting the foyer's quiet. Victor tossed her the bottle, his aim sharp, fingers steady. Linden whined softly, paws shifting, sensing the shift. The dog shadowed Evelyn, his warmth softening the mansion's edges. They worked in tandem, Victor scrubbing the clock's carved vines, Evelyn tackling the lower panels. Their movements were quick, urgent, as if outrunning memory. Linden sprawled between them, his snores a gentle rhythm. Victor's eyes flicked to Evelyn's hands, precise like Clara's in their old shop. The memory ached, but Evelyn's focus dulled its sting. "You're good at this," Victor said, the words escaping. He winced, but Evelyn's lips twitched, a half smile. "Learned young," she said, eyes on her work. "Dad said clocks are like hearts, delicate but stubborn." Her rag slowed. "You ever think about fixing it?" Victor's hand stilled. "It's broken," he said, voice rough. "Been that way since—" He stopped, Clara's laugh flashing, her hand on the clock, winding it before dinner. Linden yelped, nosing Victor's boot, pulling him back. Evelyn stood, brushing dust from her hands, and eyed the clock. "It's not broken," she said, "just stuck." Her tone was firm, her eyes seeing past the gears. Victor snorted. "You don't know it." But her words lingered, sharp. He grabbed a screwdriver, hands itching. Linden's ears perked, his gaze on Evelyn as she opened the clock's panel. The pendulum gleamed, frozen in time. "Let's try," she said, voice soft but sure. Together, Victor's grip tightened on the screwdriver. He didn't want her touching Clara's clock, didn't want to face its weight. But Linden yelped, circling his feet, and Evelyn's gaze held only resolve. He knelt beside her, Linden settling close, and they began. Their hands moved in sync, loosening bolts, clearing years of neglect. Evelyn's fingers were deft, navigating gears with ease that unsettled Victor. Her skill stirred a thought. Kids like her, learning clocks as he once did. She hummed faintly, an old tune, grounding. Linden's ears twitched, his warmth steadying them. "Careful," Victor muttered as Evelyn pried a rusted cog. She nodded, her focus sharp. Their shoulders brushed, and Victor tensed but stayed. The clock's innards lay bare, a tangle of metal and memory. Evelyn paused, tracing a small plate inside. "Look," she said, voice hushed. Victor leaned in, Linden's head on his knee. Etched words gleamed. "Time heals, but love keeps." Clara's handwriting, unmistakable. Victor's pulse quickened, his vision blurring. Clara had left this, a secret he'd never found. "She wrote that," he said, voice faint. Linden whined, pressing closer. Evelyn's hand stilled, her eyes meeting his briefly. She said nothing, her silence a gift. The inscription hung, heavy with truth. "It's beautiful," Evelyn said, voice soft. She resumed working, giving him space. Victor's hands shook as he tightened a bolt, the words burning. Time hadn't healed, guilt had trapped him. Evelyn's presence, her steady hands, felt like a thaw. "You miss it?" he asked, voice raw. "The work, clocks." Evelyn's rag paused. "Every day," she said. "But I lost more. There was this library back home. Books, watches, people who didn't judge. I'd read there, fix watches in the back. Felt like I belonged. Ms. Carter's library down the road feels the same. Saw her flyer yesterday. She needs volunteers, so I'll visit." Her voice faltered, her fingers tightening on the rag. Victor's heart skipped. Her loss, her haven, echoed his own. Kids at that library, learning, flickered in his mind. Linden's tail brushed his leg, urging him forward. The clock's gears gleamed, no longer just Clara's, but shared. Evelyn wasn't just fixing it, she was showing it could be fixed, that love could hold more than pain. The realization settled, tying her to Clara's words in a way he hadn't foreseen. 2 weeks into their clock repair, sunlight spilled into the mansion's foyer, brightening the grandfather clock's polished face. Its hands, still at 7:42, hummed with oiled gears, half revived. The hallway's faded rugs softened the echo of Victor's steps as he stood by the window, his fingers twitching, Linden's golden fur brushing his leg. The dog's ears flicked as Evelyn's boots crunched outside, returning from town. Her presence had woven into the mansion's rhythm, quiet but vital. The door creaked open, and Evelyn stepped in, a paper bag under her arm, her scarf loose. Linden bounded to her, yelping, sniffing the bag. She laughed, bright and rare, and scratched his ears. "Easy, boy, just books." She held up the bag, her eyes meeting Victor's. "Library's lending them out." Victor nodded, his pulse quickened. After seeing Miss Carter's flyer, Evelyn had gone, drawn to the shelves she'd loved as a child. Her first day reading to kids hooked her, and Miss Carter's warmth kept her coming back. "You're there a lot," he said, voice gruff. He turned to the clock, grabbing a wrench, but his gaze lingered. "It's nice," Evelyn said, setting the bag down. "Kids come for stories. I read to them yesterday. Ms. Carter, the librarian, asked me to stay longer. She brought a boy to see the clock last week, said she might visit with more to learn from Victor's work." She paused, stroking Linden's fur. "It's good to make a difference." Her warmth stirred something in Victor, hope or envy. He grunted, tightening a cog. "Good for you." His hands slowed. Clara's words, "Time heals, but love keeps," echoing. Evelyn's library work recalled his days with Clara, crafting watches, building purpose. Linden whimpered, pawing Victor's boot, sensing the weight. Evelyn knelt by the clock, tools clinking. They worked in sync, testing gears. The clock's hum a faint promise. Linden sprawled nearby, his snores soft. Victor glanced at Evelyn, her hands steady. She wasn't Clara, but she filled the mansion's hollows. "Going back today?" he asked, wiping his brow. "Yeah," she said, eyes on the gears. "Shelving, maybe reading. Miss Carter says the kids love it." Her faint smile tugged at Victor's chest. Her purpose grew, while his lay buried in the clock. He stood brushing dust off. Her stories of kids stirred an old urge, to pass on what Clara taught him. "I'm opening the workshop," he said, the words sudden. "Today." They felt right, a spark reigniting. Linden's tail thumped, as if agreeing. Evelyn's eyes widened, her smile soft. "Good," she said. "It's time." Victor's pulse raced. He strode to the workshop, Linden trotting behind. The room smelled of oil, Clara's tools gleaming under dust. He set Clara's pocket watch on the workbench. its silence a challenge to start again. Evelyn followed, standing in the doorway, Linden at her side. "Like my dad's," she said, eyeing the workbench. "His shop, I mean." Her voice trembled, and she looked away, hand on Linden's head. Victor didn't answer, cleaning tools, his movements quick. Evelyn joined, wiping down pliers, their silence easy. Linden curled by the door, watching. The workshop buzzed, a flicker of life Victor hadn't felt in years. That evening, they sat by the clock, tea steaming. Linden sprawled between, his warmth a bridge. Evelyn spoke of the library, kids laughing, Miss Carter's kindness. Victor listened, tracing his mug's rim, her joy loosening his chest. "You should come," she said, tentative. "See it." "Maybe," Victor muttered, eyes softening. Linden yelped, nosing his leg, urging him on. The clock's hands shone, half alive, mirroring their thaw. Later, Evelyn stepped outside to call someone. Victor lingered by the window, her voice faint, strained. "I'm sorry," she said, voice clipped. "I should have done more." A sob broke through. "Please, just talk to me." She tugged her sleeve over a scar, a mark from a shattered watch the night her father died, her last fight with her mother. Victor froze, Linden pressing against him. Evelyn's shoulders shook, the phone clutched tight. The call ended, tears glinting in the dusk. Linden whimpered, nuzzling Victor's leg, as if pleading for action. He stayed still. Evelyn returned, eyes red but gaze firm. She sat by the clock, stroking Linden's fur, her silence heavy. Victor watched. His heart raced. Her library light masked a guilt as deep as his, a sister lost, a scar from a night she couldn't undo. Her strength, fighting for forgiveness, shone clear. Not Clara's echo, but Evelyn's own. 1 month after the storm, dusk softened the mansion's foyer, the grandfather clock's wood catching fading light. Its hands, poised at 7:42, quivered, gears aligned after weeks of work. Victor stood before it, a wrench in his calloused hand, his eyes fixed on the pendulum. The hallway's faded wallpaper glowed faintly, framing the clock's shadow. Linden sprawled nearby, the golden retriever's ears twitching, sensing the moment's weight. Evelyn knelt beside the clock, her scarf gone, her hands steady as she adjusted a final cog. Her breath was shallow, as if she felt the clock's pulse. "Ready?" she asked, voice low, slicing the quiet. Linden's tail thumped once, his gaze darting between them. Victor nodded, his chest tightened. "Do it." His voice was rough, a whisper. He couldn't look at her. The clock was Clara, her laugh, her hand winding it, the moment she was gone. 7:42, the accident. Linden yipped softly, pawing the floor, a quiet anchor. Evelyn's fingers moved, releasing the pendulum. A tick sounded, then another. The clock stirred, its rhythm slow but alive. Victor's chest seized as the hands crept past 7:42 to 7:43. A deep chime rang, vibrating through the foyer. Linden's head tilted, ears perked. Evelyn exhaled, a small smile breaking her focus. "It's alive," she said, voice soft but bright. She stood, brushing dust off, and met Victor's gaze. "We did it." Victor didn't move. The chimes sank into him, each note a memory. Clara's voice, her warmth, the crash. Her face flashed, forgiving him. The weight he'd carried, heavy as the clock, cracked. Linden pressed against his leg, whimpering, his warmth pulling Victor back. "You okay?" Evelyn asked, stepping closer. Her eyes searched his, calm, present. Linden's ears flicked, as if urging her near. Victor swallowed, hands clenching. "It's been years," he said, voice raw. "Since that sound." He turned, fiddling with the wrench, fingers shaking. The clock's rhythm hummed, marking time he'd tried to stop. Evelyn sat on the floor, Linden settling beside her, his head in her lap. "My dad's clock chimed like that," she said, her voice distant. "Every hour, loud enough to wake the street." She stroked Linden's fur, her fingers steady despite wavering words. "When he died, it felt like it counted my losses." Victor's head lifted, her words cut, mirroring his pain. He wanted to shut her out, but Linden's calm eyes held him. The dog's trust in Evelyn was a bridge. "What did you lose?" he asked, voice rough, reluctant. Evelyn's hand stilled. "Everything," she said, voice wavering. "Dad held us together. After he was gone, Mom and my sister blamed me, said I should have known he was sick. I was 20, scraping by, trying to keep us afloat. They didn't see it." Her eyes glistened, fixed on the clock. "I left. Wrote my sister last week, no reply. I'll keep trying." Her voice steadied, firm. The air thickened. Victor saw Clara, her hand on his cheek, forgiving what he couldn't. He glanced at Clara's photo on the wall, her laugh no longer a wound but a guide. Evelyn's eyes followed, her own losses mirrored in Clara's frozen joy. Evelyn's exile, her guilt, was his own. He wanted to turn away, but Linden's warmth kept him rooted. "They were wrong," he said, words spilling. "You didn't break them." Evelyn's lips trembled, but she steadied. "Maybe, but I broke myself running." She wiped her eyes, hand back on Linden's fur. The dog whimpered, nuzzling her as if he knew. The clock's rhythm hummed, a heartbeat. Victor sank to the floor, back against the clock. Linden shifted, lying between them, his warmth binding. "I thought this would end it," he said, voice low. "Close her out. Clara." The chime's echo lingered. "It's not that." Evelyn nodded, eyes meeting his. "It's not closing," she said. "It's carrying it different." Her words landed true. Linden yipped, paws shifting, as if agreeing. Victor's hands unclenched, the wrench slipping. Clara's words, "Time heals, but love keeps," burned in his mind. He'd thought the chime would bury his grief. Instead, it sparked more. Evelyn's library, her kids, the workshop he'd reopened, Clara's pocket watch waiting to tick. He'd spent evenings there, tinkering with old watches, kids' faces in his mind. It was a path. "I want to teach like I planned in the workshop," he said, voice sharp. "Kids like yours from the library. Clocks, watches. Give them something." His voice shook, eyes clear, the workshop's buzz alive in him. Evelyn's smile lit her face. "They'd be lucky," she said. "Start with Ms. Carter's kids. She sent a few already, curious about your tools and wants to bring more to the mansion." Her hand rested on Linden's head. "As I once did." The clock chimed again, marking time. Victor didn't flinch. The sound wasn't Clara's ghost. It was a call to honor her by giving time, not freezing it. Linden stretched, his warmth tying them, and Victor saw Evelyn not as Clara's shadow, but a partner in this fragile start. The clock's rhythm hummed, steady, a promise to move forward. 1 year later, sunlight poured into the mansion's foyer, warming the grandfather clock's ticking hands. Now alive past 7:42. Laughter and clinking tools filled the air, the workshop's open door letting in the scent of oil and wood. Victor leaned against the clock, his hair loose, eyes softer than years past. Linden weaved through Ms. Carter's library kids, now regulars, tinkering with pocket watches at a table. The mansion, once silent, thrummed with purpose. Evelyn stood by the workshop door, a sweater replacing her scarf, her hazel eyes bright. She held books, calling to a girl. "Maya, your book's here!" Maya grinned, rushing over, Linden yelping and nuzzling her hand for attention. Evelyn laughed, the sound weaving with the clock's gentle rhythm. Victor watched. Clara's words, "Time heals, but love keeps," alive in his chest. The workshop, sparked by those quiet evenings, now buzzed. Kids Evelyn had read to crowded Victor's workbench, hands eager but clumsy. He guided a boy's fingers on a gear. "Slow," Victor said, voice gruff but warm. "It'll click." The boy nodded, and Linden flopped nearby, ears flicking, his warmth a quiet spark. Victor touched the clock, its rhythm once a fear, now a guide. Clara was gone, but her love lived. Kids learning, Evelyn's laughter, Linden's joy, the pocket watch ticking anew on the workbench. He passed Clara's photo, its frame dusted, her smile a quiet blessing. Evelyn dodged Linden's playful leap, setting books down. "They're quick learners," she said, her voice easy. She taught a girl to wind a watch, her hands sure, her sister's call last month driving her purpose. A cautious talk, a plan to meet soon. Victor nodded, pulse steadied. Her presence, once an intrusion, was the mansion's pulse. Her scar caught the light, a quiet reminder of her fight. "You talked to her?" he asked, eyes on the gear. Her sister, the one she'd called, tears in her voice. "Last month," Evelyn said, smile bright. "We're talking. It's slow, but it's real." She crouched, scratching Linden's ears. The dog leaned into her, whimpering softly. Victor saw her wait, guilt, hope, a bridge rebuilding, and felt his own ease. Clara's absence ached, but teaching, building, filled the voids. A girl, Lena, dropped a screw, giggling as Linden nosed it across the floor. Victor snorted, retrieving it. "Focus," he said, eyes crinkling. The kids' chatter, Linden's yips, the clock's rhythm. It was a song, not a dirge. Evelyn caught his gaze, a silent understanding passing, a bond forged in shared time. Miss Carter stopped by, as she'd promised, her smile wide, watching her kids tinker. "Library needs me," she said, grabbing her coat. "You coming tomorrow? Kids want your winding trick." "Maybe," Victor said, nodding firmly. Linden's ears perked, paws tapping, sealing the promise. Evelyn grinned, heading out, the kids calling after her. She waved, Linden bounding to follow, then circling back to Victor. The foyer quieted as the kids left, their laughter trailing. Victor sat by the clock, Linden's head in his lap, the dog's warmth grounding. The rhythm marked time, not Clara's loss, but what she'd left. The pocket watch, now ticking on the workbench, marked a new time. Love, not guilt, kept her close. Evelyn's work, the kid's hands, his teaching, it was enough, imperfect but true. Evelyn returned at dusk, sitting beside Victor, Linden stretching between them, snoring softly. The clock chimed, deep and clear. They didn't speak, their silence warm, an exhale. Victor's hand rested near hers, close but not touching. Linden's paws shifted, tying them to now. The mansion breathed, alive with second chances, purpose, home. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that hope can be found in the most surprising moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Love Story. We bring you stories that touch the soul, renew your belief in kindness, and highlight what's truly important in life.